Good morning, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani and I warmly welcome all of you to Study IQ. Today is 1st April and let's see what we have got in today's The Hindu newspaper. Sunday, you don't have editorials, but I have added a special topic that will help you with agriculture and other important things associated with it. But before that, a positive start. Promise yourself today to wear a cheerful expression at all times and give a smile to every living creature you meet. Let's do it. I am going to give it a go. Generally speaking, I am cheerful, no doubt, but today I will make sure that I will keep this watch on myself. I will observe myself and I will make sure that I am not carrying a miserable face, which generally I don't, but I will carry a smile and cheerfulness in everything I do, right? I'm going to give it a try and let's see what result we get. So I would reckon all of you guys, I will request all of you, in fact, to take part in this experiment and we can share our experience, right? And one thing, as I told you, we will forget many a times because this is not something that is part of our old habit, but we will, whenever you remember, right, that you were supposed to carry a smile and cheerfulness, then don't curse yourself, don't blame yourself, right? Just enjoy that you have in fact remembered this thing on right time. So let's do it, and please do let me know about your experiences. Now this is my Facebook page here. You can follow me, you can get in touch with me as well, and if you have any question or queries, feel free to send me a message. If you want to have a word in private, then yes, you can send a message as well, and I will share a link for you guys from which you can download the PDF of this lecture. Now, Study IQ provides pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams. As you can see on your screen, we cater SSC, Bank, UPSC, defense exams, and then you have state level exams and KVS and CLAT and other exams. So check out studyiq.com to find out more about our pen drive and tablet courses. Now, special topic of the day today is this one, the one that you can see on your screen. It is associated with institutional credit and crop insurance. Now, government is trying everything, right? Every trick in the book, government is trying to apply it to make sure that by 2022, farmers of our country, their income is doubled by 2022. It's a very short period of time. Now, I'm sure, dear friends, we have talked about agriculture and things associated with it many a time, so I'm not repeating all those basic things. Like, I'll give you just one figure: 50% plus population of our country is associated with agriculture, right? They are doing farming and other things associated with it. So you can naturally understand this is one of the main reasons why we even today call our economy, Indian economy, as an agriculture based economy. The other thing is that 50% plus population of our country, when you have this amount of population means engaged in a profession like or business, it's whatever you can call it, right? It's not that profitable anyways. So agriculture becomes, or is in fact, a very important part. Now, here are two things. One is this institutional credit and the second thing is crop insurance. I'm sure you appreciate this fact that both these things are important, isn't it, for successful agriculture sector. Now, institutional credit, if you go through the figures of NSSO 2013, then you find that 52% of farmer households were indebted, and out of this 52%, 60% had accessed formal credit. That means the 40% they don't have access to formal credit. Now, this 40% are small and marginal farmers. Generally speaking, interest rate that they pay on their informal credit is much higher, too much higher compared to your formal credit. And when we talk about formal credit, we see that even with formal credits, things are not perfect. It's not that once you have access to formal credit, then all your pains are gone. No, that's not right. Like, take example of this Kisan credit card, very important card for every farmer, right? But here as well, you find a bit of problem. Now, the thing is, you need money, you need credit, or why a farmer will require a credit is because he or she, right, needs this proper inputs at the right time. You cannot buy seeds, or if the season is right and if you don't have access to, say for example, irrigation facility, if you don't have access to good seeds and other things, then your output is going to be down as well. And if your output is down in terms of quantity and quality, then naturally the money that you are going to make is going to be less. So your business or your profession is basically not sustainable or viable for you. And if you go through the statement of Amit Mohan Prasad, who is Principal Secretary of Agriculture in Uttar Pradesh, as per Mr. Prasad, he said that back in 1993, when he was this Chief Development Officer, at that point of time as well, situation means this thing was discussed during meetings and other things, that there is a sort of a disproportionality when it comes to northeastern states, when it comes to eastern states, right? The credit that they get is less compared to the farmers of southern India or northern India or western India. They used to get a bit extra money. So why do we see this thing? And this Kisan credit card as well has a couple of things because of which you find this disproportionality, you find this up and down, or it's not a single, or you cannot say that everyone is getting the same amount of money. No, there are different farmers there. The reason is a thing called scale. Now what this scale is all about, of course we will talk about it in detail, but before that let me talk something about this insurance as well, crop insurance. So remember, when it comes to Kisan credit card, the problem is, or when it comes to formal credit, the problem is this scale thing. What this scale is all about, as I told you, we will talk about it. But before that, crop insurance. Now Pradhan Mantri insurance scheme, isn't it? This Prime Minister insurance scheme is a very famous one as well. I'm sure many of us who are not associated with agriculture, we also know many things about it, like percentage of Kharif and Rabi season and things like that. And it is a very good thing as well that we have this time. This is one of the biggest as well, and this is the first time we are seeing this thing. Recently, when we were discussing PIB analysis news, we talked about this thing as well, that there are many changes, like the cap has been removed and there are other things, other necessary changes that are made by the government. But even today we find that whenever there is a crop loss for whatever reason, may it be pest, may it be this flood or drought or other thing, we find that either our farmers they are committing suicide, or farmers who are reasonably doing well, now they are caught in this vicious circle of poverty. So what can be done about it, or what are the reasons through which we are facing this situation? The first one is banks, right? When I say banks, I'm not totally blaming them. It is the process of the banks. Now bankers, right, they are not that much enthusiastic about making sure that this premium amount, when they are giving away loan to a farmer, they are not that much enthusiastic, or they are not basically taking away this a little bit amount of insurance, right? They are not making it as a condition that if you want a loan, then you have to take this insurance. The other thing is farmers as well. They take loan for some crop and sow something else. Now why these things are taking place, as far as this saying something and doing something, and here, you know, bankers, we have to make it mandatory. And the other thing is how you complete this whole process. Now I hope this is not being too much confusing. Like, let me talk about scale. Hold on a second. Right, let's talk about scale. Now the scale is basically, here under this Kisan credit card, what happens is that your total input cost incurred for a particular crop per hectare of land is your scale of finance. So for, say for example, sugarcane, you would get extra money because your input cost will be higher per hectare of your land, so you will get extra credit limit, or your credit limit will be high. Same thing applies with the potatoes as well. But when it comes to oilseed and cereals, the credit limit is low. So this is the reason why we see these farmers, right, they apply for something else and they do something else, because you know, many of them, they don't have this access to formal credit, so they will use this money, low interest rate money that they get from this, or this credit that they get, they will use it for something else. So this is again not right thing, right? But we have to sort out, we cannot blame our farmers all the time. We have to sort out this whole situation. Now what can be done? The first thing is that we need to get rid of this scale thing. Apart from that, this banks, right? What happens is when you have this sort of things, that when you are not pushing for insurance, first thing, even if you are pushing for insurance, right, these farmers are basically saying something else, doing something else, if this is the situation. And if you are not verifying as a bank, if you are not taking any sort of effort to verify this sowing of crop, then what happens is that just in case if there is a loss of crop for whatever reason, then finally the two parties that will interact with each other will be the farmers and insurance company. Now insurance company relies on your information. At that point of time you said that it was sugarcane, and based on sugarcane you have given extra credit, but in reality the farmer has sown what? Cereals, right? And because of this thing, this insurance company will say that it was all about sugar, and here we find cereal, so you'll get no money for either sugar or cereal. And this is the thing. So no claim will be accepted, and we need to change this thing. And for doing that, we have to get rid of this scaling thing, right? We have to delink this scale thing. So first of all, once we delink this scale thing, what will happen is that first of all, farmers, right, they will start true declaration. They will talk straight with you. If they are going to sow sugarcane, then you will get that. If they are doing something else, then they will get that. The second thing is that this you can say disproportionate thing, that in the northeastern states or in eastern states less money, and in the other parts more credit limit, this will go away as well, because now rather than providing credit on this scale based system, we should provide it on area based, right? So based on the area of land held by a farmer, and on this area of land he or she can sow whatever they like. Full freedom should be provided to them. The other thing is farmers, they cannot buy this urea. Now for urea you have to pay a bit of money, right, upfront money. There are many other things as well on which subsidies are provided, but you have to pay a bit of upfront money. That means you have to pay cash when you go there to buy the thing. Now small and marginal farmers, they are not, their condition, if you see small and marginal farmers, then you will realize that their condition is not that good, that they would even be able to invest 2,000 3,000 rupees. It is a big amount for them. So what can be done about it? Now this KCC Kisan credit card, we can have two splits in it. In today's world, with the help of technology, we can do this thing. Their card, they should be, say for example, they have 1 lakh rupees credit on this KCC. So there should be part A and part B. In part A, they can withdraw this 75,000, for example, 75,000 rupees of their total credit from an ATM. They can use this for upfront payment and other things, and for all those things on which they get subsidy, right, they should be paying for that item only by swiping their card. Nothing, means if they don't swipe their card, they won't be allowed. So this will promote digitization as well. At the same time, what will happen is that, you see, at present what happens is this Aadhaar card, right, Aadhaar enabled biometric identification system, it cannot distinguish between a farmer and a non-farmer. So when it comes to distribution of urea, it many a times you find many companies, right, they will get it from this government, and it is a big loss as well. And in this way, this farmers we can keep an eye on our items as a government. We can ensure that there are no leakages. At the same time, farmers will get what they want. They will get this swiping as well as they will get cash as well on their hand, so that they can buy other things. So I hope things are much clear to you now. Now let me tell you that this sort of solutions, right, they are good ones, the ones that we have discussed. Of course they will work too, but that does not mean that we will not face any problem. From today everything is sorted out. Not at all. We will face challenges, but we have to, means when we implement any scheme, right, in a country like India, where you have this sort of diversity in terms of agriculture practices, in terms of soil, in terms of geography, you are going to face different problems in different areas, but this sort of steps can be applied to the whole country. So these are important things. And now let's move on to another item. News items basically. Now yesterday this thing was in news, right? At present we know that this Kaveri issue is again boiling out there. Karnataka is basically blaming Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu is blaming the center as well as the state of Karnataka. It is not happy because we have discussed this thing, so not going into the details of these figures, but you know that recently Supreme Court has said that a bit of extra money, extra water should be provided to Karnataka for Bengaluru city. Tamil Nadu, a bit of cut was made on Tamil Nadu's share, and you have in total 4 parties here. You have Tamil Nadu, you have Karnataka, you have Kerala, and you have Puducherry, right? You have this 3 states and 1 union territory. Now center was supposed to respond before 31st of March, I think 31st or 29th, I forgot the date, but basically center has missed this deadline, and because of this thing, now Karnataka, Tamil Nadu is not happy about it. It has knocked the doors of Supreme Court that center has not followed your instruction, and it is a contempt of court and things like that. So now let's wait and watch, but again, right, this things that are going on, they are the political, or you can say the lawful side of this thing, but on the other side we also need to think from ecological point of view, how we can conserve more water, how we can use less water, or per drop more crop. This is the need of the hour in our country, because this situation is going to become more severe in future, right? We will see many small states fighting with each other on water, and this is not at all good for our diversity, unity in diversity. And the more stress we will find in future, the more this sort of scrimmages, and this will take a toll on our development as well. So we need to learn from Israel and other countries' best practices. As you know that 70% of our water use is for agriculture. I'm talking about this fresh water use, right? This proper river water or groundwater. We find that 70% is used for agriculture. This is not at all sustainable. If you are following PIB analysis on regular basis, then we talked about this Madagascar's rice intensification. Remember, we talked about this thing that in Madagascar you don't see these paddy fields that are covered with water. Here we find that paddy fields are basically submerged. These paddy plants are submerged, nearly submerged in water. So too much of water is used in our country. Over there they made this necessary changes. What they did is they just kept their soil moisturized enough. That's it, right? That their soil should be wet enough, it should be with moist, and this was ensured. And what they realized is that 25 to 50% of less water was required for paddy production. So there are many other countries that are doing or practicing best practices. We need to apply it here. The other thing is UP encounters. Now understand this thing, encounters does not mean that whenever police is having an encounter with a goon gang, then that means they all are killed or someone is killed from it. Not at all. Encounter basically means that you are in touch, right? A point at one particular given point, these goons and police, they meet each other, or they interact. Here interaction is not as sweet as it sounds, right? It is a bit more, you know, hide and seek sort of game. Now 49 persons have been killed since March 2017, and there are many who are arrested and things like that. Now the thing is, UP is infamous for this sort of gangs and other things. You have lots of criminals sadly here, and gang culture and other things is quite prevalent here. So here we require, right, as a strong or an iron fist approach. Of course we have to maintain human rights, but at the same time, if you find that people are, or these gangs are attacking policemen, and they are attacking common citizens, they are harassing them and creating all these anti-developmental activities, then of course there are many ways through which you can deal with them. Now it's not that just this 49 people have been killed. You can also see 5 policemen have also died, and this is a very dark scenario or dark scene of our society. Because if you can imagine this thing, if a trained police personnel can be killed, then you can imagine the situation of common man. Students have asked the Supreme Court to quash this maths retest. They have said this thing that entire student community cannot be penalized for misdeed of few people. And you see here that youngsters, they are protesting, and I feel a bit of proud as well, because the next generation, right, the generation that is preparing or marching for their academic career, they are bright enough as well. They are basically, means their whole upbringing was in a more free environment. When I say free, I mean to say lots and lots of different information and other things. YouTube, and nowadays you see small kids are watching YouTube and other things. They know Facebook and many other things, so mobile and everything. So because of this thing, I believe that they are a bit ahead than those of us who are between 20s and 30s or 35s. So this is good thing that they are taking a stand, and this is, you can say, new India taking shape here. Now, very sad news again. This was really touching news when we saw this thing, when Sushma Swaraj said last week that 39 Indians who were kidnapped in Mosul, they are no more with us. Of course, it is a very, you can say, when we wait for someone for even 2 minutes, we feel we cannot, you know, it's a very difficult thing. Then you are waiting since 2014, so you can imagine the situation of the family here. But we are trying our level best as a country, right? The government of India is tried everything possible, and VK Singh, who is a junior foreign minister, he is going to visit Mosul and ensure that this dead bodies of our Indian citizens will be brought back and will be handed to this mortal remains will be handed to the family members. Now, moving on to another item, and this is a bit interesting news as well. The thing is, when I say interesting, I mean to say Prime Minister Narendra Modi's, or you can say this coverage has increased since we saw this Venkaiah Naidu ji taking over, or playing a role of vice president. Basically, as a vice president, he is this administrative head of the channel, and because of this thing, means this report, this news item is saying that Modi is getting more airtime on Rajya Sabha TV. Rajya Sabha TV has explained this thing. They have said that Modi is a big brand, of course we know that, and because of him we can get more viewers, and this is the reason why we are basically providing all this live rallies coverage, and this is something that is not acceptable or will be taken very well by opposition party. So let's wait for more on this. With this, we have declared that Tibetans, right, we share a very age-old relationship with Tibet. We all know that, and our junior minister, or you can say the government of India, has said that you are not our guest, means you are not refugees, you are like our brothers, and you are our guest, and we are more than happy. We welcome you from the core of our heart, and this is something that will be not taken very well by China. ISRO has launched GSAT 6A. It is going to be more useful for communication, and the reason why many of you would be amazed that why we are discussing this thing again here, part of science and technology, right? I do deliver Hindi lecture as well on Sundays, so this one was for Hindi students, but anyways, it's going to be a sort of revision for you guys. We used our GSLV F08, was launched from Sri Harikota, and this GSAT 6A and 6, they are like communication satellites, and Prime Minister Modi said that this will boost this mobile application world. NASA is going to launch a mission called TESS, right? TESS, and this TESS will basically explore unexplored solar systems or hot stars. It will go through, or it will scan for these planets, and we'll see if we can find new planets or something similar to Earth. And then you have this transit as well, very easy to understand. You know it very well that when you have bigger object like sun, and then you have say for example moon here, which is a bit tiny, but then as well, if you are looking at from a far distance, if this moon comes in between your path, your visibility path, and sun, then you won't be able to see the sun. So this is basically called transit, and because of this thing, many a times we are not able to watch, we are not able to spot many of these solar systems. Moving on to another item, last one in today's discussion, it is about ultra thin sun shield. This Australian scientists, they have said, the researchers, they are saying that we need to produce and then you can leave them or they will float on your sea. They will protect. This are basically ultra fine biodegradable film, and they are 50,000 times thinner than a human hair, and they will protect our coral reefs and other things. So this is, again, remember, it is about invention and innovation. There is a big difference here. So let's wait for some sort of innovation here. This is, of course, a good invention, but if we can do this thing, then we can use it in our waters as well. What do you make of this picture? A very interesting and funny picture. And that's everything in today's discussion. I will see you all soon. Enjoy your Sunday, and don't forget to share this lecture with your friends. Jai Hind.